Entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And now, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It is Wednesday night once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night. This is our weekly show here at E2C Network where we share the Auburn experience that is all about you, the Auburn family. We're going to take your comments and your questions throughout the show. And of course, we're going to take your calls as well. It's live call-in night after all. Let's get into this thing now. Auburn Family Night coming your way right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about the Auburn experience. We love to share that too, after all. The Auburn experience to us is all about a few things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to do this evening here on Auburn Family Night. This is our weekly show where we give you the floor. We ask you to take center stage. And we also want your comments, your questions, your topics to come up throughout the show. So get in the show, the chat room interactive as I knock the microphone out of the way. It is Auburn Family Night, brought to you by our friends at BarnerSupplyCo.com or Barner Supply, however you'd like to just think about it. But you want to visit Barner Supply Co. But Mike is having issues this evening. Make sure that didn't get turned off now. But as you can see, we have their logo down there in the corner. They'll be sponsoring us for a foreseeable future here on Auburn Family Nights. We're so proud to be partnering with them. But you can also see me sporting one of their amazing hats and designs right here. And it's a trucker hat, too. So I really love that. So if y'all need me to take the headphones off at some point to show you a little bit more detail, I can. But we always want to thank our friends at Barner Supply for helping us barn out hard as Auburn family. So obviously, I want to give you guys the floor as you so deem necessary to take advantage of the call-in link. How do you call in on Auburn Family Night? It's very simple. YouTube is the place you want to be. I think we've broadcasted it out on the Facebook chat too, but YouTube is definitely the place that is easiest to find it. Should be pinned up at the top there in the chat. If it's not, please let me know. We can correct that, but I think it is up there. So keep that in mind throughout the show. We'd love to have some of you all call in. You just click the link. You can be on camera or off camera. It is open. It is available to you now to take advantage of. So what are we going to talk about on Auburn Family Night? Well, as I said, it's really up to you all and how you want the show to go this evening. But I'll give you some things to think about. As we said in our header here in our title, spring football's done. Obviously, there's a lot of predictions, prognostications that people want to make after that. I always stress that it's not really timely right now to be doing those things. It's not, you shouldn't be making super major takeaways from spring practices, but we can at least maybe talk about what we think we saw, what we think we gleaned from what was out there. I was there for the spring practice event, not a game anymore. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about practice. We can certainly talk about that all of A-Day weekend, which is the best time to get the full Auburn experience. So I would love to talk more in detail about that, things I was able to experience, whether it's baseball, softball, tennis, shopping and things like that. It was a great Chamber of Commerce weekend. We talked about it on the Auburn Experience podcast this last Sunday, if you haven't listened to it as well. Obviously, there's a lot of transfer portal movement and things. Here, we focus mainly on the ones that are part of the story right now, and there's been plenty of that with 2 additions for basketball and maybe more on the way soon, but we'll focus mainly on the ones that have already signed up, literally signed, or have committed to the Auburn Tigers. That's out there as well. Big matchup this weekend for Auburn baseball in Austin, Texas, while they're on a hot streak. Softball's getting a little bit of a hot streak too. So there is no end to the Auburn sports action, the Auburn culture, the Auburn family stuff that we can discuss this evening. You pick the topics, and let's get started with you all saying hello. There are a few of you in the chat already here and hanging out with us early. We appreciate that. Let us know that you're here. Smash the like button, the share button, the share, retweet, whatever it's called these days. If you're watching on Twitter, all those different things are out there, and we're already getting people in line for the show. So we'll start getting those in just a little bit here. Let's see here. Corey said, thank you, Hugh, for not being interested in Nico, the Tennessee guy. That's a headache we don't need. Listen, I don't know why this became a thing with the for in terms of Auburn being involved in this. I saw way too many Auburn fans getting either worried or talking about this or things like that. I think most of those were probably other fans masquerading as Auburn fans to, get people riled up and things like that. But I knew we weren't going to be in any way in that monstrosity of an issue. And certainly that's got implication across the wider space. We can talk about it from that angle, certainly. But Nico's not our problem. He's not our future. And we are thankful about that. Corey's already letting us know where he stands on that this evening. Okay, keep the comments and questions coming. We've already got a line of folks for the call and links. We'll go ahead and get them in right now. Here's one of our regulars here. What's going on, Kevin?
War Eagle.
War Eagle, good to see you. No cowboy hat tonight, huh?
No, I traded it. I traded it in.
Oh, so no, you're not going to honor Jarquez Hunter in any way anymore?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I got to see you in the cowboy. Just rotate it for us every Wednesday night. How about that?
Yeah.
It would be good to see you in that. But you probably have got a big collection of Auburn gear that you can wear, I'm sure, with your cowboy hats, your different hats, things like that.
Yeah, different hats.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a Auburn football helmet.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Although it'd be pretty hard to see your eyes and talk to you right now with that on.
Hey, what color of jerseys will we get for this year?
I think blue and white. I think
Blue
that's
and
it.
white?
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any changes to the jerseys, at least for about 2 years, if that. But so I don't want you to get your hopes up. But there's a lot of people like myself who don't want them to change the jerseys in any way. I know there's a lot of people that do.
They won't. They won't orange jerseys back.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who want that, and I disagree with them vehemently. So I'm not an orange jersey person.
Who was the best player stand out in the practice?
I think Perry Thompson got a lot of attention, and rightfully so. I liked watching Alvin Henderson run as a freshman. I'm not sure that he's going to play a ton this year, but I do think it was nice to see probably the reputation that he built for himself in high school show out on the practice field there for Auburn early.
Who will be our starting running back?
I think it's pretty simple. It's whoever's was in line last year. As right now, I mean, obviously things can change.
Austin.
I think Austin, then Jeremiah Cobb. 1 and 2 basically they don't get to see the same amount, but they're pretty much guaranteed to be out there on the field if they're healthy. So I think those are 1 and 2. Darrell Robinson has it. He's been injured, so I don't know how he's going to factor into this. But you got Alvin Henderson, and then you got Omar Mapson, who I recently forgot about, unfortunately. He's definitely someone I wouldn't expect this year to play a whole lot, but he is a factor in the room, so you at least got to count him in the discussions.
How many wide receivers we got?
Well, we're down 1 now because Dylan Gentry, everybody's fan favorite, left today for the transfer. Yeah, he's in the transfer portal now. So unfortunately, he's not gonna, at least unless he comes back. But I don't take it that he will. He'll be back.
He might withdraw his name.
He might. He could. I'm just gonna walk out here and on a limb a little bit and predict it's probably best that he goes elsewhere if he wants to see significant playing time. And if that's not important to him, he wants to just be part of a great room and just get whatever time he can get. I mean,
great room. Yeah.
But if he wants to take the lead and get some more surefire playing time, finding another team might be what's best for him.
Like junior college.
Well, I don't know. It may be just a lower Power 5 school. You never know if he needs help right now. A lot of people are losing bodies, and they just need them to be filled right now. So you don't know who it could be. We'll see what happens. I'm wishing best.
I know we still got Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Micah Simmons.
Bryce Kane.
And Bryce Kane.
Yep, you got them. You got Horatio Fields. You got Singleton, who came over from Georgia Tech.
And Sam Turner.
And so you took the words right out of my mouth. Sam Turner as well, and I'm missing a few still, I think. But
hey, which wide receiver after you sit out because they're injured?
Eric Singleton. So we didn't get to see Jackson Arnold, and we didn't get to see Singleton.
No, I'm talking about one of the wide receiver, Devin Williams, is out for the season.
That is a cornerback. That's what you're thinking of. That's a cornerback. Yes, cornerback. He did something to his ACL, I believe. So that's a year-long process usually. So feels like lately we have that happen either summer, spring, or the fall leading up to the season. There's like a cornerback or a safety that like injures themselves for the full year, and we always lose them. I feel like, unfortunately, it's Devin Williams this time. Thankfully, he's young, and he can hopefully bounce back in the coming seasons, but doesn't look like we'll see him this year.
I bet Robert Wooder will step up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he's got to. I think he's got to because we've got a lot of open spaces at the linebacker position. I think that's an area that's been identified as could use some potential help there.
And we still got DeMarcus Riddick.
Still got DeMarcus Riddick. You got a couple of new ones that have been brought in. There'll be some people coming in the 26 class, but that doesn't help this year. I think that's just an area that some have identified the portal this time. You might see some additions. What's his name from LSU? Somebody from LSU came over too in the transfer portal last
How
fall.
big is Quan Fagan?
I have no clue. I guess I saw him in person, but he was amongst all the other players, so it's hard to compare sometimes. Usually safeties tend to be a little bit larger defensive back. So I would bet he's a decent size, a lot bigger than me, probably.
And I bet Caleb Harris be the starting.
Now, Caleb Harris, I think he's still here. Am I wrong on that, guys, in the chat? Maybe they can confirm that for us. Somebody left that was a little bit surprising this year. No, he's still there. JC Hart. We did have some departures recently, but I thought there was somebody who left at the end of last year that was a little bit surprising. It wasn't Caleb, I think. But anyway, that's just kind of popped in my head, and I thought a lot, who is that? How about there's a couple of departures from the transfer portal after spring.
How about our two transfers from basketball?
How about them? How about those big, tall, long, lanky guys that are just going to help fill up the space that's vacated?
One from Mississippi State.
Yeah, how's it feel to get another one from Mississippi State? We steal the best from them, it seems like.
Yeah.
It certainly does feel like we do that from time to time. I had a Mississippi State fan that came in on the stream the other day, and he said something to the effect of, he's like, would y'all stop stealing all of our good players? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like,
we can't help it.
Can't help it. They just want to be at Auburn. I'm not trying to be rude towards Mississippi State. I think we're very similar, and we got a little bit more going on.
That guy from
Kansas?
Somewhere.
You're talking about the community college in Kansas?
Yeah, Butler.
Yeah, from Butler Community College. Yep, he's a pretty tall guy. Excited to see what he can do, and we may not be done yet, so we'll see how that shakes out.
Bruce Pearl always says we ain't done yet.
Yep, so many people use that phrase now, and he's probably correct.
And I think our baseball team will sweep Texas.
I was going to ask you to round out our time together. I wanted to ask you what your prediction was going to be for the Texas. So you say sweep 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0.
Well, we'll see. That's a tough order to do against the number one team on the road, but they are on fire. So I feel pretty confident they can get one.
But we beat number 3 LSU.
We did. It was at our place though, so that makes it a little bit easier. But the team is hot.
And the softball team will beat Tennessee 3-0 too.
That would be a nice return home for the Malvos. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it next week. Hey, buddy, it's always good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in. And
War Eagle.
We'll talk to you next week. I want to see that cowboy hat, okay?
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. All right, we'll get our next caller in here in just a second, so just sit tight. If you'd like to call in tonight, it's very easy. Click the link up at the top. We'll get you in line here. It's not too long of a line, and we'll have you on just as soon as we can, and you can have the floor for a little bit, just like Kevin did. You can be on camera or off camera. It's real easy to do. Off to a great start tonight hearing from some of our regulars. Let's see here. Corey says, it's a big loss for the two safeties Is it a big loss? Sorry, I was reading it over here, not over there. Is it a big loss for the two safeties we lost in the portal? If I'm remembering correctly, both of those guys were vying for some more time this year. But the word is a lot of the guys that came in with this class seem to be making some waves. Eric Winters is especially one of those. So I don't know if it's a. I don't ever want to say something's not a big loss, or whenever you lose someone, that is a loss. We can all debate and agree or disagree whether or not it's a what type of big loss it is, but certainly you can look at it a few ways. Does that mean something's wrong on the team? Usually it just means somebody's looking for some more playing time, which means one of two things: who is currently slated to start there is going to be just fine, and or the people that were behind them are pushing them for that time and they're not feeling secure. So it could be a lot of different things there. I don't know if it's big or small loss, whatever. Anything's a loss. Kevin, it's a good reminder from Corey to hit Clint up for a helmet. He probably would steer you in the right direction for that. A couple more comments here and we'll get to our next caller. We need tall guys next year, considering Florida will have their 7'9" center available. I'm going to be honest with you, Unbeaten Lake. I'm not too worried about that guy. Not to say that 7'9" isn't a lot of body to get around, but for all the height they have, those being probably those that hit like 7'4", 7'5" plus, they become a liability in a lot of other areas, oftentimes. Not always, but oftentimes. So I'm not so worried about the height of our players as opposed to what they can do with what they have available to them. Corey says, I'm good with an orange jersey as long as they don't bust out the green ones again. Anyone in the portal we should be concerned about losing? If you're asking the people that have already entered the portal, Devin, I'm concerned. I mean, not concerned. I kind of expect them not to come back. It's very rare that anybody comes back. There are over 10K football players in the portal as of today. Where is that listed? It's probably a good reference point to look at and see there. Our tallest guy is currently 7 foot. For comparison, that would be like if a 6'3" guard was guarding a 7 foot center. Yeah. It is a fair comparison, but it's also not a completely fair comparison, because when you get to a certain height, you both kind of play similarly and things like that. I don't know if I necessarily completely agree with that. Corey says, I would be more impressed if Auburn sweeps Arkansas in baseball. Luckily, we don't have to play Arkansas, as Devin says. All right, we got caught up here, so let's go ahead and get back to the phone line so you guys get in line if you'd like to tonight. Very easy. Click the link. You can be on camera or off camera, like our next participant. We got our friend from the Great White North, Mr. Brian Fulcher, on the line. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. War Eagle.
War Eagle to you. How about that 8A weekend? I know you weren't able to be there, but I'm sure you lived vicariously through all of us.
I was going to quote the great Allen Iverson, say, are we talking about practice?
We talking about practice, and that's all we talking about.
So I posted this somewhere. It's one of my very, very few beefs with Auburn, is it always feels like 8A ends up on Masters Saturday, and it drives me crazy. But
yeah. They are always having to battle Easter weekend and the Masters weekend. And I believe last 8A, which, if I'm not mistaken, was bad weather too, was the first time that they actually didn't have either conflicting with 8A weekend. It just was horrible luck.
And they got the bad weather. Yeah.
You can't win on 8A weekend. It's just, but yes, the Masters, and I know I believe you're a Masters fan. I'm not. So it doesn't really... It doesn't conflict with me, but I'm an Auburn golf fan, and so it's important to them. So it's somewhat important to me.
And they're having another good season. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Really weird question. What was the kicking situation like in practice?
A lot of kickers.
Was there? All right.
So Ian,
is our guy healthy from last year? Just that was such a weird illness he had.
Yeah. I was going to walk through those for you. Ian Vachon just announced. Well, he actually didn't specify on social media what he's doing, but he gave a goodbye post of like, it was good to be here. So I don't know if that meant he's out of eligibility. I don't know why he'd be out there at spring if that's the case. So I took it as he's either leaving football or going somewhere else. So that's one apparently gone.
Okay.
Alex looks so much better.
Good.
I'm just saying, from the fact that he was already a small guy,
Yeah.
already looked tiny, literally thought he was like a 12-year-old when he walked out for the first time on the field. But now he actually looks like a healthy 12-year-old.
A healthy 12-year-old.
Yes. And he even, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the interviews that we put out about a week and a half ago when they were, the athletic department gave us access to a few of those. And he talked a little bit about his journey through that. So I found that very insightful. A lot of people have been asking questions about what he had to go through.
I have not seen the interview, but I'll go back and find it.
I think there's even a short kind of giving you the snippets of the important parts if you want to go find that on our reels or something. But if I remember correctly, he kicked the one that was 50 plus yards and it hit the crossbar. And he said, I'm back except for a little bit of my strength, which would check out because, he was making 60 yarders pretty easily in high school. Right. So that seems to be promising. Towns Magoo looked pretty solid from everything that I saw. I don't think they missed very many practice kicks and or ones that were part of the quote unquote live scrimmage part of
the
it.
Practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all in all, lots of options still and looks pretty good.
All right. A fun question. Then I'm going to come back to football for a second. I think you posted the thing of Bruce Pearl out with some players in a Bentley.
Yes.
Whose Bentley's that? I want to know.
It's got to be Bruce's, I hope.
I mean, NIL's alive and well, I guess.
It is. We used to worry about those things, but then it's like, well, there is NIL.
We don't have to worry about it anymore. He was not driving it, I don't think, though. But yeah, it was. Or maybe he was. I don't know. That looked like they were having a good time.
Yeah, it's hard to tell when it mirrors, when they're doing the selfie thing, because you could even see the church that was in the background. I was like, oh, I think I know where that's at in Auburn. And then I found where I thought it was. I was like, it can't be. So Bruce and the boys are just out cruising. Yeah, they're out cruising and having a good time.
It looked like a very good time. All right. There's nobody more positive than Kevin. I wish I could inject that.
Just an ounce. We all need just an ounce.
So
yes.
I want to say that before I ask this question.
Yes.
And the question isn't should he or shouldn't he be? Because I think you and I don't want to speak for you. I would say in no way should he be. But is there any warm temperature to the seat Hugh Freeze is sitting in going on to the season?
I think
into the season.
To answer that question, I will say I think it's incumbent upon him to have a winning season and go to a bowl game. I think that is a necessity. And I think if that doesn't happen, then certainly the temperature is rightfully so risen up. Because as you've heard me talk about, and I think you think this way a little bit too, I give a coach a minimum of 4 years in most circumstances outside of other things that are at play there. And so, but just because I'm giving them 4 years doesn't mean there shouldn't be progress on the field, right? So we got to start seeing us going to a bowl game.
And I agree with the 4 years. I'm going to ask you a question. Is your logic behind 4 years is they get to get a cycle of their recruits through? That
is traditionally what it has been. Certainly that can be
altered.
With the transfer portal that can change things a little bit, but I think it's fair to get, think about it that way. Still, you're cycling through a class worth of players to get the old out and the new in,
I could maybe compress it to 3 in this world, but but no, I just, I hear rumors out there and I just wonder, how hot is that seat? And I don't think it's scorching, but I think a winning season in a bowl game is a reasonable expectation. I agree with you on that. So.
Yeah. I think for the reasonable fans out there, when I say reasonable, that doesn't mean that you have to be everything's hunky-dory and we're okay with whatever happens. I think like we just talked about, we got to have a winning season. We got to have to show some, you've got the off the field stuff, the recruiting, the culture, that's all looking great. It's what you sold us on, part of your big selling point. It's there. You've lived up to it. Now's the next part. We need to see that progress forward. Different people are going to have different opinions about what progress looks like to them. Some are unreasonable and say 10 wins or bust. I'm like, well, hey, it's possible. No. But right now I'm shooting for bowl eligibility.
I think 8. Well, okay. So you're saying 6?
No. Let me bowl eligibility plus some. Let me clarify that. Yeah. I think if you get bowl eligible and it's 6-6, you're like, you met expectations, but that's kind of just barely getting over it.
That's like Minnesota Gopher expectations. But anyway, I mean, I feel like Gophers. I feel like we should. What's that?
I was just laughing at the Gopher expectations.
Well, I mean, yeah. I feel like, oh my word, you should just hear the debates around here right now about basketball.
I can only imagine.
Do you know anything about our basketball arena in Minnesota? Totally.
No, I do not know.
It's old. It's got a raised floor. It's historic. It's called Williams Arena, and the concourses are about as wide as your hallway going to your living room, and people are just like, we can't tear it down. It's historic. Well, how's that history going for you? Anyway, long story. But no, I would think he needs 7 or 8 wins. And I'm not saying you fire him if he gets 6. I'm not saying that. But I'm just, I'm with you. I think that. And I just go back to didn't have to be this way. And the other thing that you said that drives me crazy is back when it didn't have to be this way is, you'd have an 8-4, 9-3 year. You're okay with mediocrity?
Yeah.
It's not mediocre. It's the SEC. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a very, when someone goes to the mediocrity angle on that, I'm just like, you're just missing so much context that tells me that you're not someone that wants to carry the conversation out to its fullest. And so like you were talking about, you can have a 6-6 year, be a bowl eligible, and that, is better. But how was that 6-6? Were you losing to teams you weren't supposed to? Or did you lose 6 games to all good opponents in a close manner? That's a much different look of a 6-6 year than it is 8-4, and all your 4 losses are to terrible teams.
It wasn't look like. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Context is important.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So what's your prediction for Texas, or do you not want to make it yet this week?
No, for the baseball series, I'm predicting and hoping. I think I've seen enough to know that they feel confident they can get 1. It really just comes down, I think, to the pitching. And I know that's still kind of an area everybody's a little bit squeamish on at times. I like what Sam Dutton's doing. Definitely Cade Fisher. Those our first 2 I'm feeling pretty good about. And Alvarez, who pitched this game 3 of last game, started off pretty good too. So I feel confident that we can get 1. 2 is what I'm hoping for. And that's a series win on the road. Can you imagine how much that's going to vault Auburn up if they do that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to follow it super closely yet, but I'm excited about it.
Sure.
The attendance number is super exciting to me. I think they outdrew the Twins over the weekend. Phenomenal.
That's
one little final aside. I know it's hard to do because of geography and time and all stuff, but love the Auburn experience, you and Austin live on campus. Hope you guys do more and more of that, because that's super fun.
We are certainly, we've done it from the library lawn a lot, which is literally just 100 yards from where we were doing at that time.
Yep.
This time was a lot more successful with the Wi-Fi. I think you could tell that. Still cut it in and out a little bit, but it was not what it was last time. No. So I think we found a formula that works there. Certainly, it's incumbent upon Alumni Center for letting us do that and what they're comfortable with. But we both enjoy doing it from there. The sounds make it pretty entertaining, and sometimes if it's not Fiji House and their shenanigans. By the way, if y'all don't know, I'm talking about Fiji House as a fraternity right there in college, and apparently they were setting up for some jungle party in the background, and I'm so thankful that we were not there for what time it was, because who knows what was going to take place.
Probably best, but sights and sounds of campus are fun.
They are fun, yes.
And I guess that's part of what I like about it, is the little unpredictability. I mean, other than Austin's computer falling over onto him, you always like a little unpredictability.
Yeah, he's been pretty good lately about not having that happen to him. So it's made it look, not as entertaining.
Because the glimpse you get in his eye right before it falls over is pretty beautiful.
It's classic.
All right, man. Well, War Eagle, keep it up. It's a lot of fun.
All right, thank you so much.
One more thing. How exciting have these sports been since football?
Oh God, it's so much better.
It's just so much fun.
You talk about a Final Four, your baseball team and softball team are getting it all together at the same time. And what could else?
The golf team is defending their national championship.
People listen. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but women's tennis is hosting the SEC tournament right now in Yarborough Center. And I'm telling you, if y'all have not attended men's or women's a college tennis match, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I enjoy the heck of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, go watch. So I wish I could.
Yep.
All right, War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle. All right, that was our friend Brian from the Great White North. We appreciate him calling in and letting us hear his perspectives. We're about halfway through the show now, what we traditionally do. So don't be shy. Jump on in and let us know you're here. A couple of others are arriving. That's good to see. Thanks, Latrell on Facebook. We'll get back to a few of your comments that were brought up throughout our calls there. And but now's a good time to start bringing up some new stuff. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to ask? All those things. Don't be shy. Jump in the chat right now and smash the like button, the share button. Also want to remind you of our friends at Barner Supply Co. You can see the logo down there and what I'm wearing right now. I've got a second hat tonight. I'm planning, if Matt is watching this, Matthew Hill, great guy who runs Barner Supply Co. I believe he has some others who help with it too. But I'm giving him the credit right now. I got a couple other different hats. I want to do a little unboxing, even though I've technically unboxed it already. If I get some time this week to do that. But wanted you guys to see these wearing tonight. Big fan of trucker hats. So this is like right up my alley. We appreciate them supporting Auburn Family Night, and we're going to be partnering them for a while here. So hope you guys will support them and support us vicariously through that. You can go shop with them at barnersupply.com for lots of cool stuff, not just this logo and other things too. All right. What else? What do you want to get into? There's Kevin in the chat. Good to see you, Kevin. I know we just heard from you a little bit ago. What else do you guys want to talk about? A couple of people I haven't seen yet I wanted to give shout outs to. This is from Neil. Buddy of mine coaches football and showed me the numbers tonight. Not sure if only coaches can see the numbers or not. Yeah, this was back when he brought up how many players were in the portal. I've been interested. It would be cool to know, the public, some figures behind that. How many people are in there? What's the peak? What's the low? How many people sit there for how long? That would be a really fun, not fun, maybe it's not the right word, interesting bunch of statistics to look at. Never forget Jonathan Mincy getting ejected for a massive hit on his own teammate during the spring game. I will not ever forget that. And I haven't forgotten that. It is a great callback to spring games of old. Corey says, I can't wait for the day Congress starts putting the screws on this NIL crap. Good luck getting Congress, no matter who is in charge, to do anything that we want them to do. You can solve the NIL problem if you make it contingent on them finishing out their time at college at the school, unless released. If they leave, they forfeit the total amount. I think there's some nuance still within that probably needs to be worked out. But I would agree with you, WT, that there is I would argue that if you are receiving endorsements of a certain amount, you no longer need a scholarship. You can clearly, and I'm talking about if you're making $1 million off of NIL. Now, sometimes you don't get them until you get there, but I think that should be part of their stipulations. You are given this scholarship unless you make X amount per semester, or per year in NIL endorsements, because you don't, it's the point of a scholarship is it is given to honor not only your prowess as an athletic or an academic individual, but also to help those that need it. And I think we all would say we need it, right? In today's day and age. But I think there's an element of that that's lost in this world. So I do agree that there's something that needs to be discussed around that point. Will it happen? Your guess is as good as mine. Hugh Freeze has said, this is Devin talking about expectations, has said from the beginning that year 3 would be the time. Give him 3 years to catch up. Well, here it is. Time to show it. Yeah, I think he said, give me two to three full recruiting cycles. And that would be technically it would be year 4 for 3 recruiting cycles, just because of the way the timelines work up. But I agree that year 3, you need to see all of the pieces heading in the right direction. That doesn't mean championship. That'd be great. It doesn't mean that if you don't beat X team, you're failing. The full story, the full context, all needs to be pointing in the right direction. What else here do we need to talk about from that angle? Corey says 10 wins or bust is living in la la land, one step at a time. And I think Corey recognizes the context there with that statement. The floor this year should be 8 wins, completely doable. That's where I always start, no matter the year. I think the program, given its historical even current context is always capable at a minimum of expecting 8 wins. Now, certainly I move that meter up or down given more context as the year gets a little bit closer. Carson Beck got a nice paycheck at UJ and drove a Lambo SV. Yeah, there's moments where we can all common sense. And if you're arguing against it as a player that you don't need the scholarship, then you're just being greedy at that point. There is some of this NIL stuff began because there were some nuances where some of their expenses weren't being covered in the right situations, especially for those who have more of a financial need than others. And unfortunately, we as a society aren't able to see the bigger picture before we open Pandora's box fully. And here we are. This is from WT talking about, I think, our new big man. He says, I feel like our new big man brings me vibes of Kessler. I see him being a presence in the paint. I think we go to a 3-and-D offense next year. I think a lot of people would like that return to a little bit more being known for the 3-point shot. But typically what happens is you live and die by that 3-point shot, even with great defense. So that being said, there's a good and bad things that come with it. But, it would be something newer than what we've done over the last couple of years. Typically better 3-point shooting this year, just not to the 2019 level. What's going on, Mr. Scott? Our co-host is in the house for the Auburn Experience podcast. Yes, repping the Barner brand stuff tonight. Obviously love them and love what they do to support us here. But we've got other hats I'll probably be rotating on Wednesday nights for you guys. Might even put them over here. I have my traditional orange hat that I wear for most things that we do. But this is Auburn Family Night, so it's brought to you by Barner Supply. It's a pretty great hat, too. I'm kind of upset that I haven't gotten one before now. It's pretty awesome with the trucker style thing in the hat. Y'all, quick poll of the room. I know it's not Auburn related. Are you a fan of trucker style, meaning the mesh back? And then I guess you technically have to have the little clips back there. Yes or no in the chat. Let's do a quick poll of the room. And if so, if you are, do you have any other Auburn trucker hats? If you do, I'm super jealous of you because I have, those aren't all my hats. None, except for these ones right now. Dalton, what's going on? War Eagle from Noonan, Georgia. Thank you for checking in. He says, yes, absolutely. Love the trucker hats. That's what I like to hear. And that's what I like to know. I knew you were my type of people. Surprised it took so long to capitalize off Barner, as it's been an insult from Bama fans for decades. Yeah, and that's kind of the heart behind Matt and his company, Barner Supply Co. Is it's first of all, it was silly that was what they went to somehow be disparaging towards us. You're literally taking a shot at us being what puts bread on the table for you, meat on the table for you, the ag-based things. The reason you get to be on your phones is because you're able to feed yourself with the things that the science and the ag-based schools do for you. But so taking pride in that, and I love the design here. You can see obviously with the Barner, and then the sun coming down with the rays. It's very nice. Obviously has this other logo as well. We had that one up last time. We're going to put this one up primarily now. But it was a very wise choice by Matt, I think. And I'm, regardless of whether they were supporting us here or not, I've always loved this concept, the style, and all that stuff. Never had a trucker hat. Gonna have to get one. Everybody hears trucker hat and you're like, oh, I'm not in a redneck. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. This mesh back, it's a little bit more breathable too. If you got a lot of hair, I love it. I own 4 trucker hats, AU trucker hats, and they wear well. I think they are probably whether you openly talk about it or not, everybody's got a trucker hat these days, I feel like. Let's see here. WT says, appreciate you doing those spots showing the incoming transfers in forward short, not bloviating. Well, that's beyond my vocabulary with useless information. Yeah, it's funny you said that, WT. So I got someone in the comments on, what was it? I think it was a basketball one. Or was it? Anyway, it was a recent recruit video he did. And he was like, this would be great if there was more information. I'm like, you do realize it literally says in the video, quick facts, just the bare minimum stuff you need to know. There's a little bit of my take on things I throw in there. I'm like, you're literally missing the concept of these videos. That's what they are supposed to be, just what you need to know and a little bit of speculation. Austin says, whoever wants to get Kyle a Christmas, Easter, birthday present, I know the exact trucker hat that Kyle salivates over. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. 2 years now, I have somehow made it out of that tent without it. And I am doing very well. And I have put it on my Christmas list for the last 2 years. And my family and friends have failed me each time. Not upset, just disappointed. Just disappointed. Unbeaten Lake says, I probably spent over $500 on Auburn basketball shirts and hats during the season. Literally got everything except the Maui shirt, which still makes me upset. Always remember to buy them from Alumni Hall using our link if you can. But I know there's other places you want to, and people you want to support too. And get yourself the best price. I understand that. But if you can, think about that if you're going to be spending that type of cash. Yes. I would love that one. I Heart Gus. Oh, it won't come up. I want to come up. There it goes. I would, was it I Heart Gus? I would do that one. Yeah, it's hard to capitalize off of Gump. It doesn't really have a good connotation with it. Jace, did you go to the Final Four watch party at Neville? I think I saw. Yes, I was there. For most big Auburn on-campus events or weekends, I try to be there if it works with my schedule. But there's been times it hasn't worked out. But I was there. I was sitting in the front row of the elevated, what's normally press seats with the swivel chairs. And as I told people last week, I think, or the weekend, anyway, that if you watched me, you knew because I was ahead of the action, because I had it up on my phone. I do that for reasons, for stuff we do. You could tell if we were going to make the free throws or not, because if I put my hands up with everybody, we were going to make them. If I didn't, I didn't put them up. So, and I had fun, like on a reaction, just doing a little bit of swivel in the chair like this all the way around. But I was there. Sounds like you may have been there too. So I hope you had a great time despite the loss. Obby Claus must think you're on the naughty list. Well, I can tell you several people that think I'm on the naughty list. And I might be, actually. So maybe that's the reason I haven't gotten that hat in 2 years. Come on, people. 2 years. Never mind. That's just to make me sound greedy and unthankful and all that stuff. Kyle does don't go overthinking your Stallone from the movie. Don't go overthinking your Stallone from the movie Over the Top with that trucker hat. I'm not understanding the reference, Corey. Is that beyond my time? I'm not that young, but I'm not old either. He wasn't alive when that movie came. So that's probably why I'm not getting it. There you go. I had a feeling that was something I was not privy to, understanding all of that stuff. Okay. All right. What else haven't we talked about yet that we need to discuss Auburn related? Auburn sports, culture, family stuff. This is y'all's night. Phone lines are still open, so would love for anybody else to take advantage of that. Still waiting for Austin to call in on one of these nights too. I know he's always busy, but we'd love to see if we get a mystery call from him. He should call in under a different name and stuff too, and like have a character. Jace says that the atmosphere was crazy. You would think it was an actual home game. More people showed than I originally thought. I think the way the seating started, and by the time that you were locked in, focused on the screen and stuff, when they turned, the pregame stuff on, people forgot to look around and just look how well people avoided the corners, which I was in, because of the divider on the Jumbotron for each of the four sides, but it really wasn't that bad. But then they realized, well, all the other spots are taken, so we got to do it. Atmosphere was outstanding. I love going to watch parties there, and I'm now convinced that we are going to be doing that again sooner rather than later. I'm not saying it's next year or even the year after that, but Bruce Pearl has shown that 2019 wasn't a fluke. He can build a team to get back there again. And thankfully we have, his contract till 2030. He can obviously leave before then, retire before then. I don't see a reason for him to do that, but it is, I have a feeling of confidence that we'll be back having a watch party in Neville Arena again. Kyle missed the 80s. I didn't miss all of them. I was around for 3 of them. I was born in 87. But yeah, I was there. Big time win over Jack State last night from Auburn baseball with some guys who don't normally play. Isn't that the great part about some of those midweek games? Because it's not that you're more often than not, you're expected to win them, but you should always take these players, especially in some of these Alabama schools, very seriously, because they'll catch you like UAB has on a night and just show you, hey, you ain't as good as you thought you were. So you don't want to always just run everybody out there just for the sake of running somebody out there. But it is a good night to try some of that. Chatterton got to pitch again last night and pitched outstanding. He had 2 runs, but they were unearned. 1 hit, 6 innings, and 8 strikeouts, I think is what the stat. We shared it on social media today. So that was good to see him get back to form on a midweek game. Such a great performance by him and others too. And, I think people would say it wasn't a pretty win, but hey, a win is a win playing some of these Alabama teams. WT says, is there an AU sport that will overlap the change over to Nike? Not important. Just curious how that would be handled. The only one that I can think of would be baseball, because the College World Series carries over into July. I believe the softball World Series wraps up before July. I could be wrong on that, but I think that is the case. Maybe it carries over just over into July. So July 1st being that marker. Good question, but very few. Now, on that note, just more information off of this topic you brought up. This is a good question. So track and field has their traditional, outdoor season, then postseason championships, which goes pretty long as well. In fact, I think last year they were the last ones to get done when the men nearly won a national title. People forget that. But then after that, they usually have the World's Championships, like maybe a week or 2 weeks after that. And I think they still show up in their college gear, not as like a team, but as individuals. So I guess you could make the case, maybe that's a continuation. If there's a Olympic year, I think they have some Olympic trials too. So that just, I guess that depends on what they're going to want to run in. Are you telling me that I have called in the Granddaddy Show and Austin is not? Shame. Austin has to have called in one time. Haven't you, Austin? I don't know if he's still here. I feel like he has. A hat with a peacock on it. Is that a good, you're suggesting a new thing there? I may have missed the context on that one too. Jace says trap games in baseball are no joke. We lose that game against Jack State last year and even earlier on this year. You might have the way things are rolling right now. It certainly feels a little bit more confidence out there. I wouldn't go so far. I think it does a disservice to the midweek non-conference games to call them trap games too. I know what you mean. Fans, sometimes teams take them not seriously. I don't think with who Auburn typically plays in the state of Alabama and some of these other Southern teams too, regional teams, that you can take anybody for granted, especially when you have Georgia Tech typically on the schedule twice. I know that's no joke because it's a Power 4 team. My gosh. I mean, it's tough no matter what Auburn is playing, conference or not, midweek or weekend. You called in a while back before we started doing our own thing. I feel like you did. Long time. When you say it's the granddaddy of everything at E2C Network, you're not lying, WT. I mean, it probably, and the thing is this format just began on a whim, and I don't even think it was necessarily nestled on a Wednesday night. I think it just found its way to Wednesday nights because that's when I found the least amount of overlap. There is some with basketball, but typically baseball games are on Tuesday nights, midweek ones. Everything's kind of settled in the middle of a football week. So we just found it was a nice place to put that. And certainly we used to do it at 8:00. By the way, I'm curious. Sorry, quick tangent out of the other tangent. Any opinions about doing it at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 Central, like we've been doing? I know some of you have expressed previously that certainly it's a little bit later for you, but I mean, I feel like we're getting about the same audience and maybe some new faces as well. Always let us know. And certainly if you've got access to the Conquer Club, you guys can let us know at any time. We got our access to DMs and stuff like that. Prefer the later time? I kind of felt like we would all get into the habit and it wouldn't be such a big change. So anytime you guys want to give us feedback about those things, please do so. We're always trying to figure out what works best with what we can do, but also works best for our audience. Anyway, there's that. Oh, like the later time. I think, Devin, weren't you one that was concerned about the later time previously? I may have you mixed up with someone else. Somebody said from one of our regular viewers that I was concerned that they wouldn't be able to be there for the later time as much, which is understandable. Please don't hear me not saying that. But I hope it's worked out for everybody with some overlap with other shows and things like that. I think we found a nice sweet spot. And sorry, I know I'm talking about this a lot, not Auburn stuff, but I feel like for me personally, I didn't think I'd like it as much, but I think I've now kind of gotten into the habit. It's nice to say that the main two shows that we do on a regular basis both start at 9 Wednesday and then their respective nights. The kids are all in the bed and I can participate more. Well, there you go. And that's what this was all intended for. Especially, we always want to continue to build our little family, but I do want to serve you guys that are regulars as best as we possibly can. 4 a.m. would be a great time. Well, we almost did one about 4 a.m. Do y'all remember the Oregon State Auburn series when they were playing out in Corvallis and the game started at midnight? No, it probably started at 11, and I think we got done at 2, and I did the show at 2:30, and I went to bed at 3. So essentially almost 4. Yeah, if we make it to, the playoffs or the tournament, I would, we'll probably do some post-game shows after each one of those. I know some of you have requested we do baseball stuff more. We're getting some of that in the Auburn Experience show that we can use throughout the week, but it's not the biggest draw outside of those times. So we'll do that when that's more appropriate. Yes, I did have a lot of fun with that too. All right. Jay says, do you have a guess on how many people Auburn's going after in this portal cycle? Jace, they've heard me say this 1,000 times. I am not the guy for that. I do not focus personally on a lot of speculative stuff in regards to the transfer portal. To me, it's never fulfilling. The majority of these people that we all stress over about visits and stuff like that, it doesn't amount to anything, because the reality is, for the content that I produce here, I only really do stuff for when they commit /sign or sign. So unfortunately, I'm not privy to that. Now, what I will tell you is I can look at stuff that's happening. We lost a lot of defensive backs when the transfer portal reopened back up after the spring stuff. So obviously we can probably expect a little bit on the transfer in the transfer portal for some defensive back safeties. JC Hart left at cornerback. That's kind of how I look at it. If someone leaves, that means that spot has come available, but it doesn't always mean that they need to fill that particular spot. It may have been opening up a scholarship spot, but not necessarily a spot for that position. So, that's kind of where I sit on my coverage and discussions about that. I know that's a big thing for a lot of you out there, and I used to be that way. It's just not something that I give a lot of energy to anymore personally. Play it out, trust the coaches, and make the right choice. But, we're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it when someone commits. That's a big deal. So if you enjoy that recruiting element, what you get from us, we've got some videos out there if you haven't watched them about the quick facts, things like that. I like doing those. I found a formula that I think you all find pretty informative and not so drawn out and things like that. All right. Devin says, if we keep winning, we could host a regional and possibly a super. Long way to go, but still it's exciting. Yeah, so you've got to be the top 8 seeds to be, if you win, guaranteed to host a super regional. Certainly, I think if you remember back to when Austin and I were previewing the season, he and I kind of gave an opinion about where we hoped Auburn would be. I believe we both agreed that Auburn making the NCAA tournament in baseball was most likely as a 2 seed as the best case. I think we just discussed it and kind of upped that and said we're talking about them being in strong position to host a regional if this pattern continues. I think what I mean by that pattern is Auburn's got to win the majority of the series left, and they've got to start, for the rest of the time, I feel like they really need to take a win no matter what. If they do that, I think they're going to find themselves in very strong case to be a host team no matter what. Depending on where those wins continue to come and what else happens, you could, as you said, find yourself as a host regional. Happy to be wrong, right, Austin? Happy to be wrong. Us old folks got to go to bed early, Kyle. I know, Corey. I remember it was you now that had a little bit of just opinion about us as going a little bit later, and I'm sorry about that, but we do try to go where we feel the wind shifting us to be all mystical and things like that. He says, I think you started a post-game show at 1 a.m. one time when we played Oregon. Think the game didn't start till 9:30. Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. Oregon State baseball. That's what we were just talking about. I think maybe you were talking about another sport, but yeah. Neil says, I'd love for Coach Freeze to target some fat O linemen. Well, I hope those fat O linemen can move. Hey, I bet Brian knows of a few big old hog mollies like they grow up there in the Midwest that he could send down our way. I feel like Iowa always has the largest offensive lineman. Now, if you look at their offense, it moves that way. So I don't necessarily want to be their offense, but maybe you send us one or two down from the great Midwest, the Iowas, the Wisconsins, the Minnesotas. Just those ones. Neil says, Coach Freeze getting cancer freaks me out more than anything. I hope he beats it fast. Yeah, I think we're all a little, it's an equalizer, right? It kind of puts things in perspective. Certainly we all have our frustrations when that all falls on the head coach, but it puts into perspective when they're dealing with cancer. It doesn't mean that you can't ever have constructive criticism about it from this point, but it also means that we need to keep that in mind. When we talk about him going forward, and what he's dealing with, and he seems like he's taking all the appropriate steps and listening to all the right people. Yeah, I would take encouragement from what has been shared about it. It doesn't seem like there's an urgent, from what he talked about in a press conference, need to do something about it right away. But prayer is powerful. So if you believe in the power of prayer, do that for Coach Hugh Freeze and his family. Yeah, Cyrus Quanjo, Reuben Foster. Those are the ones that did me in on over-investing in recruiting sometimes. This was about my comment about the big hog mollies up there. Need them farm boys on the line. Yes, you do. Midwest produces some of the best fat guys. Believe it or not, I'm not even going to get offended about that because I've got some family members, and I say that with all the love, late family members that definitely fit that category. I've got family from Wisconsin up there. Are you going to do a clip on Bill Oliver? Do you want me to? I think, I don't know. I've struggled with how to acknowledge and honor that. I don't even, Austin can tell me whether or not if we were going to bring it up on next week's show. He's a part of our history. It seems like he's more part of Alabama's history than I'm just not as familiar with him. I know about brother Bill Oliver and stuff like that. So I don't know. If there's something you want me to do, let me know, but I hadn't planned on anything right now. All right. Some comments and questions to round out the show. Please bring those into the table right now. If you've got any of those, we certainly want to round out our show with some of your commentary that we haven't discussed so far this evening. What do we have coming up for you this week? Now, remember, we are in that nice period of time where we don't have a ton going on outside of our regularly scheduled content. You're here on Auburn Family Night, so hope to see you back. Ooh, that's a good point, Kyle. Won't be here next Wednesday. So how about this? I do not have plans to be doing this next Wednesday. There is a small chance, depending on how some travel schedule works out, that I might be able to do one from the road. I'm not going to Auburn. So maybe I can pull one off from the road, but I can't promise that. But every Wednesday night outside of my schedule conflicts, we are here at 9 Eastern time for Auburn Family Night. What we're also here for most Sundays, and most times Sunday nights at 9, unless we do a special episode like last week, the Auburn Experience, our live podcast that we record, have a Q&A after it for sports, culture, family. It's all the Auburn Experience. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Episode 122 coming your way next Sunday. Join us live for that. Listen to the replay. You can get last week's episode now. Don't miss out on that. There was some great stuff from 8A weekend that we talked about and had a great time doing so live from Auburn Alumni Center. I have closed down the phone lines, but certainly if you were taking advantage of it, we can get that in very fast here. But I think we're probably good from that standpoint. Would rather you did not do a show on Oliver. I kind of got that sense from most people, but I think there's good memories with most of our Auburn people, no matter where they come from and what their time was here. Certain, not others. Austin says, live from the top of RBD. Ralph Ron Droghon, however you say that. I never knew how to pronounce our library, Austin. That would be a cool view. Don't think we're going to get that. From the hoops that I had to try to jump through when I was trying to scramble to get us before Alumni Center stepped up, our location for episode 100, to do something on campus officially. Yeah, that ain't happening. But you never know. Neil says, Kyle, you need to do a live stream from either Buc-ee's or Waffle House. I would probably get a yes from Buc-ee's. I think they would find that quite entertaining. Be very loud. We'd have to do it in the back, but then you're kind of, because you can't do it inside. Too loud in there. I don't hate that idea though. Waffle House, probably not either. But I don't hate either of these ideas, especially their connection to Auburn. I'd be more inclined to do the Buc-ee's one. Is there a video game for college basketball that you can live stream? Well, the last one was kind of like the college football game. They stopped producing it after a certain point, not just because of NIL stuff or, all that's weird things for the reasons college football stopped. There's one out there. I just remember having a ton of glitches, and I can't remember what system it was on. I'm holding out hope that we will get one now, especially that Auburn basketball is legitimate in college basketball, and I can finally play with an Auburn team on there that's got a shot at being good. Because I remember that game, the Auburn team was not good, and it was just horrendously hard to try to, if you played it on not easy mode, to get any leverage in the season in that game. Live from a bathroom. Believe it or not, the bathrooms are probably the loudest for a variety of reasons. I like when you did the college football games and live stream them. Yeah, I was thinking about doing a little bit of that this summer just for funsies again. They'll have a new one coming out, so we'll probably do some with that again about that time. Yeah, it's we're not done with that stuff. It just became less of a thing, obviously, as basketball took over. Nothing really ever dies here. It may go into the closet for a little bit, and we'll pull it back out and dust it off and do something different with it. All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Thanks for hanging out this evening. It was great to see y'all on Auburn Family Night every Wednesday night, unless I'm not have a schedule conflict like it will be next week. But maybe stay tuned for that, because we'll see if we can squeeze one in or not. Other than that, Sunday nights, 9 Eastern time for the Auburn Experience, and follow us everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the different places, all the different people and places that you can get the Auburn Experience. Make sure you follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do there. We thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this evening and being part of our little family within the Auburn family on Auburn Family Night. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.